New Falls Count Anywhere on the Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest EJ Christian, as we record this on Tuesday nights about 7:30 p.m. As of course, every week we're joined here by, of course, the genius himself, Rob the Genius, 1/3 of the Minus Podcast, also the host of the Rob the Genius Podcast. Rob, what's going on, brother?
Hey, good to be back, man. I finally recovered from WrestleMania weekend.
We recovered. What happened?
Well, you know, I mean,
did you get drunk or something? Oh, okay.
No, it's, you know, it's just, I mean, it's
what the fuck happened, bro?
not saying I dribble this time, but yeah, it's you know, I mean, it's like watching, you know, any type of sport playoff type of situation. You know, it's
right.
Might be up late, got to go to work next day, you know, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing about WrestleMania now these days too, especially, is that when you look forward to it, you're basically tailing off an entire weekend. In the past, it'd be this, okay, it's one day and we're good, you know. But and in the past, in our heyday, it was one day, at most 4 hours, and we're good. Now it's an entire damn weekend. It's like a residency pretty much. It's like, okay, I don't make any plans for April X and X because of the fact that, well, WrestleMania weekends, I can't make plans on those 2 nights. And I look at that, and now it's at a point now where now SummerSlam's the same way too. Now there's one weekend in the summer where I don't make plans on those nights because I'm going to watch SummerSlam. Of course, you can watch it on demand, but it's much cooler to watch this in real time. Come on now, bro. What are we doing?
Oh yeah.
So, we'll talk about WrestleMania in just a second. This show will just focus mainly on WrestleMania and the things that have happened since then. We'll touch on Raw a little bit last night, but before we get to that, there's Ariel Helwani. There's a comment he made this weekend, actually yesterday on the show, on his podcast, about WrestleMania, and he was pretty critical of WrestleMania 42. And some of these comments he made actually kind of caught my attention. Here's what he had to say real quick. I'll play the video.
Soulless. The whole thing felt soulless. And that's the term that I use for the Apex. And that's the term that I use when I see the AI stuff. It feels soulless. And they have to realize, because I know there are very smart people involved there, and they're not new to TV and they're not new to sports. They have to realize how to get the soul back into their product. It does not exist. And I thought it was very apparent on Saturday and Sunday. It does not exist. Even as they were showing the stage did not feel as elaborate as it did in the past. When they were showing it and it was bright outside, and there were no pictures on the screens, it felt stripped down. It didn't feel big. Roman's entrance was great. CM Punk's entrance was great, but just the frame, everything just felt off. It felt off and soulless and cheapened, if I'm being honest.
All right. Well, a lot of words there. I won't lie. You know, when you look at, again, we're in the TKO era. Everything we've been critical of how they've been handling business and with the consumers and whatnot. And we came into WrestleMania with them lagging on ticket sales. In fact, the numbers were lower than last year. I'm not mistaken. Last year is and that's notable. And that's a big deal because this was literally in the same venue last year. So we've been talking about this for months, for the last year or so, and now it comes to the head now. And now you have people in the media calling out the fact that it just doesn't feel the same. It feels too corporatized. It feels too plastic. It feels too it doesn't feel like WrestleMania as how you and I. And I'm not sitting there saying, listen, we need to go back to the old days of how it used to be, and no flash. Look, there was obviously some positives to WrestleMania today. There's still good things about the product. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I can't lie. He nailed the word here, soulless. Especially because I'm actually watching old Manias recently again, fresh in my mind. I'm watching the first 14 for the first time in years, and I'm not saying that we have to go back to the first 14 Manias, but there's a sort of authenticity to those shows that is kind of lacking in the shows today, especially in the show this year and last year too. To be honest with you, so I thought he nailed it here. Your thoughts?
Okay, so I think definitely night one felt that way for me. Because because night one, I'm sure you've seen some of the complaints about the match times. They just got stuff in and out, and those matches, a lot of those most of those matches in night one didn't really get to even develop into into anything that was really fleshed out as far as having a match. There was like 45 minutes between um, the women's world title, the Stephanie McCure Liv Morgan match, and then Cody and Randy. There was like 45 minutes in between.
Yeah.
All those ads. Now, I don't mind the signage, like in the ring and all that. I mean, it was a lot, but I don't really mind that because
I'll tell you what. Right at this point, I prefer the signage over the fucking 3-minute commercial breaks now.
oh no, the commercials. I mean, to me, the commercials are the worst part because that actually eats up your time.
Yeah.
The signage doesn't really, that that's just stuff that you see in there. It's whatever, right? But all the commercial ads, and then this year, except for the main events, they didn't even do the video packages.
No.
Before the matches, so you didn't have any, just so much of so that was missing. Again, that they rushed through almost all of the matches on night one. Like basically, like as if they didn't matter. Even, I mean, and then they just rushed through all those matches to get to the ads, and then to get you to the main event. So I say night one definitely felt.
Yeah.
Everything was bad about night one.
Everything. I'll tell you what. Like the complaints about night one was through the roof. And look, I didn't think night one, in terms of the actual product, was not that bad. I gave it a C. There were certain things that night one that was very convoluted. But get to that in a second, especially the Cody match, the main event in night one. I thought the matches and stuff were okay. The matches that were great were phenomenal. Gunther, Seth, obviously phenomenal match. I love AJ and Becky. That was a great match. I thought Cody and Randy was a great match overall until the ending. But the thing is, when we grade these things too, also when I grade Manias, like I said, I'm doing this project with my buddy Ryan, and we're doing the first 14 WrestleManias. We're doing like a whole project here, and we literally spend 2 hours, over 2 hours an episode on each Mania. And I grade each match, and I grade everything. And when I grade these shows, I'm not just grading just the work rate. I'm grading the commentary. I'm grading the presentation. I'm grading everything across the sun. So when I'm grading Mania here, I'm not just grading just the matches. I'm grading also the pomp and circumstance. I'm grading the how's the presentation overall, not just in the ring, but also in terms of like the company. What did I put too many ads here? And it felt way too watered down. There was no momentum. Every time you got momentum in one match, there's a commercial here for 3 hours. Bro, Rob, I felt like I was watching a 1987 episode event over again.
Night one, yeah. I mean, see, okay, because at first, I thought, again, except for the main event, I thought all the matches on night one, I thought they were all too short. I thought, like, none of them, to me, really. I didn't think any of them were great. I thought, well, Seth and Gunther was okay, but the other ones, they were all too short. Everybody, people didn't get to do all their stuff. They rushed through them, and
well, to your point, real quick. first match between the 6-man tag with the Usos and and ISO Speed and whatnot. 7 minutes 8 seconds. That's not a lot longer. Those are work rate guides.
Yeah,
The Fatal 4-Way tag match for the women's title. 8 minutes 33 seconds. Could have gone a little
and
minute
that
too, a
was
lot more.
and with that one, like okay, so you had 8 women in that match, and you had a whole lot of very good in-ring workers in that match,
Yeah, absolutely.
and they didn't they barely got a chance to do anything, and like
Yeah.
that match in particular, it seemed like the only thing that they cared about was Paige coming back and then the finish, and it seemed like they just the creative people just didn't care, whether that's Hunter or or whoever, or people above him, like they just didn't care. To them, it seemed like that match just wasn't even important to them. The only thing that was important was Paige coming back and then the finish, because they barely got to do anything during that match.
And the thing is
Uh,
too, also when the product when you're putting shoehorning so many advertising and so much of this stuff into the show, it does spill into the product eventually. It will.
yeah, and then again, not doing the video packages, right? Because now, normally, like there are people who watch WrestleMania, and then like there are people who they watch through WrestleMania, and then they tap out for the rest of the year. And then
Mhm.
there's some people who only watch WrestleMania as a show, right?
Mhm.
And those video packages, you know, they exist basically to get those people caught up.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, for us, even though for those of us who watch all year, even those video packages have become a part of the show, right? I mean, they matter. I mean,
In a lot of ways it sells the show.
yeah.
It sells the show. Like if it wasn't for Owen and Brock and what they've been doing the lead ups and stuff, I'm not buying ESPN for a month. So
Right. If you're somebody who, again, if you only tune in for WrestleMania, which is what's again a large chunk of the audience watches WrestleMania every year. Some people go to WrestleMania and they don't do anything else the rest of the year. Um, you had all that great stuff that happened between Ober and Brock on TV. You didn't see it.
yeah.
Uh, and look, I mean, most of the matches had some type of had stuff going on TV to lead up to it, and like so you didn't see any of that. So those
Pause.
matches.
Pause. Wife's calling. Pause 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. We had my wife called, so sorry. Had to hit pause. This is what we do here on the podcast. We have lives to live. Sometimes you have kids and wives that even recording. We have to cut things off sometimes. But continue, Rob. Use some of the video packages. Go ahead. You were saying about the video packages.
Yeah. So I mean, they've been a part of this for so long. They are a part of the show. They're, um, they're one of the big, especially for WrestleMania, because those WrestleMania video packages are have been almost like movies. I mean, they've been really great. They've really, I mean, they add to the show, they add to the matches. They didn't have any of them this year except for the main events. So it's just, so when he's saying, well, I mean, like night one in particular, just, I mean, because, the tag team match didn't get enough time. For me, Becky and AJ didn't either. They went back and forth for a few minutes, then they just started trading finishers. And it was like, and that just felt like okay, well they had to get out of there because
Right.
that was shorter than a tag team match. And then even Gunther got like 15 minutes, and normally two guys like that at WrestleMania would go for like 20 or 25,
Yeah.
and so they were short. And then of course the Liv Morgan Stephanie McMahon match, that was just egregious. Um, that was less than 7. That was like 6.5 minutes.
651. Yep.
And I knew like because when Stephanie went for her the devil's kiss, normally she'll try it once and not get it, and then maybe a few minutes later she'll get it. Like she went for it early and got it the first time.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we're getting out of here fast. Um, and then And then the funny thing about that was, yesterday there was one of those quote unquote reports out there saying that,
The
oh,
reports,
they cut
Meltzer
that match
reports.
short because both of the ladies were banged up.
Yeah.
And then last night, Liv had like almost a 15-minute match with Saul Ruka on TV. So that's pretty.
I
All
put
right.
that to bed.
Yeah. Okay. And then that was, and so that was bullshit. They just, they didn't care. Um, and so it just honestly, night one in particular felt like, yeah, it felt like a microwaved product, and it just felt like it was there. Just, it just felt like they were running commercials for 3 hours.
Yeah.
in that one.
I
There
mean,
was no flow. Like again, people didn't get to do anything really in most of the matches. Or they didn't get to do all of their stuff. And this is WrestleMania. These aren't like, yes, if it's a TV match, and yeah, you go 8 minutes and you don't do everything you normally do, or you don't do all of your stuff in a TV match, right? You just
of course.
right, you hit your kind of signature stuff, and then you get out of there. And so for night one in particular, th- those matches were treated like TV matches, and I mean, people fly in, they paid all that money for tickets. Las Vegas. I mean, flying into Vegas, getting a hotel and all that stuff. You did all that, and imagine, and then some people can only do one night. Like, well, I went to WrestleMania 40. Me and Jason, we went to night two,
Hmm.
right? Couldn't do both nights. I didn't have both night money. Okay. I went to SummerSlam last summer. I went to night one because why? Because I didn't have night one and night two money. Um, so imagine if you could only go to night one, and that's what you got. Um, you know, I would be highly pissed off if I had made the trip out there and paid for a ticket and I could only go to night one, and night one was what we got.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, there's this, and I know a lot of people were saying, well, I guess I saw, and my original interpretation was night one was that, well, this is disappointing, but I've seen worse. But then night two was the exact opposite. And so then I kind of honestly, after seeing night two, I downgraded night one. Just it stunk. For
Yeah.
WrestleMania, night one stunk.
So, well, okay. So, because I gave it a C for
I
night
was
one.
thinking that way first, but then after night two, I changed it changed the way I looked at it.
Night two saved night one. Be honest with you.
Oh, it absolutely did. I
It's
mean,
the entire show. In other words,
if both nights had gone like night one, we'd be putting this in the bottom tier
Yeah,
of WrestleMania shows. So,
absolutely.
night one, I think night two pulled it up to the middle of the pack.
But here's the thing, Rob. And for the record, let me ask you a question before you get what I was going to say. So basically, you agree with what Ariel Helwani is saying.
Um,
It's soulless.
Yeah, well, I guess for me, he's talking. Well, for me, night one definitely.
Yeah,
Night two was better. Night two was a little better on that
it
front, but
flowed better. It was much more momentum. They
yeah,
stayed on the gas.
but just generally speaking, do I agree with him? Yes.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I gave night one sucked, but it's not for the reason that you think. I can't even blame the competitors.
Oh
I
no,
think
I
they
don't
were.
look.
I
None of
think they
this
were
was.
handcuffed by what the TKO and powers that be, what they want to do and what they want. What the purpose is to sell advertising, this and that. Which now again it does affect the roster and how they perform.
Yeah, yeah, by the way, yeah, let me say that because I have been known to bash the wrestlers sometimes.
Well,
Um,
if they deserve it, deserve it.
yeah, but nothing on nothing on night one was the wrestler's fault. Nothing.
Right.
Uh, it was production, um, and whoever made those production decisions, it was their fault. They completely just nerfed and handcuffed all the wrestlers that night, and
Yeah. Right.
you know, it was again, it was none of their fault, and
Right. I'm with you, man. So the biggest story of the entire weekend, honestly, is obviously I say the reason why I even ordered this damn show in the first place was because of the whole Brock Lesnar Obafemi, feud and match and whatnot. And Oba did go over, phenomenal. Look, shortest match of the entire weekend, but probably the most effective one of the weekend also too. 4 minutes 46 seconds. Oba beats Brock Lesnar, but the story of the show isn't even so much Oba Femi, doing what he did. Obviously, it's a big deal, bigger picture, but it's Brock Lesnar now teasing at least a retirement.
Yeah, and so now for all the complaining about the match times from night one, okay, because this is the thing, because the pushback for that from a lot of people was that, well, does it really matter how many minutes something got? Okay, here's the thing. It matters. Okay, what matters is that you get enough time to do what you needed to do. Okay, that's what matters. So Brock and Oba were under 5 minutes, and they did everything they needed to do. So there's no complaints about their match only being 4.5 minutes because that's all they needed to do it. All they needed was basically for Brock to hit Oba with some stuff and Oba to get up and then and take him out.
It's why I say when people give me like a side eye, like when I say Ultimate Warrior and Hong Kong Man is a 5-star match, even though it went 29 seconds, because it did what it had to do. It was effective. The crowd was into it. It did what it's supposed to do. There's a purpose to these things.
Yeah, and now since Brock is seemingly retiring, it makes even the way that match even makes more sense.
Well,
Because
unless you believe it, of course. Do you believe he's retiring?
yeah, because I don't, look, Brock isn't one to do bits. Okay.
Yeah, you said that on text. You did say he's not one to get. What was the word you used on the text? He isn't one to play around. Not play around. There's a certain word you use in that adjective you use in that. I forgot what it was. I gotta look it up. I want to say to no, but I to your point though. That's how you sold me on that when you said that. I was like, oh, that makes sense what you said there. But let's see if I can find it here. Let me see. I'm looking right here. He doesn't get cute. This kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you're right. Because you're right. He doesn't get cute. This kind of stuff.
Because he's a quote unquote real fighter.
Yeah.
So like that wasn't like an angle. Like he fought in UFC. He was an amateur wrestler, and so for him, the whole taking your boots off in the middle of the ring, like that. Yeah, for guys who are quote unquote only pro wrestlers, that's it's an angle or whatever. Like for him, that's some real shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't, and he's again, he's never come off as somebody to do things like to take anything lightly, and so yeah, and then again the way that Oba beat him, and I think it's real.
Here's what I'll say to you, Rob. I'm definitely buying in that it is real. However, there is a way to still make this a larger story long term. You remember a couple weeks ago when Gunther was backstage with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman said he told Paul Heyman, well, because Gunther was in the match with Seth Rollins, this and that, is doing a favor, and that basically saying to Paul Heyman that I need a favor. I need a favor, pretty much. Well, I think that favor is going to be most like if indeed they do play this out, if indeed this is all kayfabe, some degree, is come months on the road, Gunther wants to retire Brock. Now, obviously, you can't do it immediately because obviously the right place to do this is in SummerSlam, which is in Minnesota, home where Brock Lesnar is from. However, you do need to burn off 4 months of programming between now and then. So you can't do it right immediately. It has to wait for a couple months. It has to cook a couple months before you actually put this in effect. So I'm thinking Brock goes away for the rest of the spring, go into the summer, maybe run Money in the Bank, and then that's when Gunther calls in his favor. It does make sense based on the storyline, unless Brock really is done. And there's some rumors out there too also. I'm not going to say this is true or not. This is the people talking shit on IWC that Brock did this whole thing at the end with no one's no heads up to anybody. He just decided to do this or keep it to himself and decided, after the match to do this, which of course, this is my thing though. If Rob was going to retire, wouldn't WWE want to make this a bigger deal? Like, put some stakes on this thing to sell tickets? That's my thing too also.
Well, yes, they would, of course, because that's what they do now. But
Some like my conspiracy might be in play here. Maybe Brock didn't tell me.
I don't. Well, I think he went in business for himself, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think Paul Heyman made him know. Maybe if he told somebody ahead of time, he may have told Paul, because again, because they were together one last time to do this thing, right?
Mhm.
And so it would make sense if he told Paul Heyman that, hey man, this is it. And so let's or if he told Paul Heyman a few months ago, hey man, I'm out of here. Let's get one more ride together, and then or something. I just don't see, because that's just too convoluted. Gunther wanting this guy who just got beat in 4 minutes and wants to retire. I want you to talk him out of retiring so that he can wrestle one more match.
Because I want to be the one to put him away for good, because that is my thing now.
I think that's just way too convoluted, and also, and then that totally cheapens this thing over, then, because the whole point, this is Oba's crowning moment. Like Oba is going to be Brock Lesnar now.
We've been saying that for the last months in the show. Like the panels are there.
He is going to be Brock Lesnar now.
This is 2002 Brock Lesnar, literally.
Yeah, so
literally the timeline.
But that's who he's going to be now. So this was a real torch passing. Normally, when people say that, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
But this was a real, because Oba is going to be Brock Lesnar now.
Yeah.
So you cheapen that. You cheapen this entire moment. If you have him come back one more time, and just
he'd be forced to, because of the Heyman Gunther angle.
Oh no, that's no.
I see your point on that one. I do see. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that. But there is something to work with there.
It's dumb. No. See, the problem is, because we all, way too many of us think that everything is a work, and that everything is there's some ulterior angle or something to everything. I don't think. No, personally, I'm of the school that the simplest answer is usually right, and he was done, or he decided that he was going to be done, and maybe he called Paul, and or he might have just said, hey, I want to do this with Paul this time. He might have just said, hey, this was going to be my last WrestleMania, so I want to do this with Paul. Maybe he didn't tell them he planned to retire right here. And then him going into business for himself this way when it comes to stuff like this, it totally fits him, because he doesn't want all that. Everything about him, from every interview or whatever, or every
he ain't about the whole pomp circumstance.
No, he ain't about all that.
He
comes there, he does his match, and he goes home. That's how he's always been. So to me, the thing that makes the most sense is that he decided that this year was it. He didn't want all that pomp and circumstance, and so for him, the best way to avoid all of that was to do it here, and to do it on his own and not tell anybody. And now, and also I think the fact that it was very noticeable how much he enjoyed Oba. So
yeah,
I think it's also the fact that he looks at Oba, and he's ready to go, and he sees, like, okay, this guy can take over for me. This guy is worthy of the position. this guy he can take over for me. I feel good about handing things. I feel good about handing the stuff that I've been responsible for here. I feel really good about handing that stuff over to this guy. So I'm going to put him over strong, and then I'm out of here. And again, he doesn't like being around people anyway. And he's not about all that pomp and circumstance. He don't want no farewell retirement tour or none of that, and he don't want them making a big thing out of it. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if he didn't tell anybody except maybe Paul Heyman, and then and did it this way so that they can't you know they can't make a big thing out of it because he doesn't want to have a big thing out of it. So I think it's 100% real. And look, it's obviously, pro wrestling is just like, every other sport. People do change their minds. So
people retire in music too, and they come back later, like Jay-Z.
Yeah, and so put it this way: if we see him again, it's because he changed his mind. This is not some planned out angle. No.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. My demarcation is Money in the Bank. It's what, late June, early July. I'm assuming. I don't know the exact date. That typically is the last major PLE before SummerSlam. If there's no programming going on between now and Money in the Bank, where it involves Brock Lesnar's name coming back at some point, because you need about at least 2 or 3 weeks to build this thing. If it happens, then I'll believe 100% that he's definitely done.
Oh, and I think they're going. I think there are people there who are going to try to get him to come back.
Okay, assuming that this is not kayfabe, of course.
Oh well, no, first I think it's real, and yes, I absolutely do think that some people on the inside there are definitely going to try to get him to come back.
And you definitely, it has nothing to do also. I'm not knowing Brock Lesnar personally, and I know what's going on in his life. I don't know whatever, but he looks phenomenal, like physically. Like this, no lie, Rob. This is the best he's looked physically since 2002, 2004. It's insane how good he looks out in the ring. Like he's ripped again. He's I mean, he looks like 2002, 2003, 2004 Brock. Physically, it's insane.
Yeah.
So you think, okay, why would you retire? But he may have other things he wants to do. That's his right, But like I said, Money in the Bank will be my demarcation. If I don't see any programming, any sorts of clues about him coming back between now and then you're right. He's done. So, Roman Reigns regained the title, being CM Punk. No surprise there. What I am surprised about, though, Rob, and we spoke about this in the podcast, when they announced the match back in February. And I told you this, like, I wasn't looking forward to the match itself. The build wasn't what I was looking forward to because these guys are talkers. I thought the match would be okay. I didn't think it'd be a great match. And then I saw the match on Sunday, and my God, that was an old school golden era pro wrestling match in the way I like to see it. No flippy, dippy, Peter Bear, Skippy, what Duke was said in this podcast. Our boy Duke Bennett. It was an old school wrestling match, psychology, slow, methodical, good storytelling, just the way I like it. This match, to me, honestly, look, I'm not gonna put my top 10 main events of all time, but given the fact where my experience in this match before this match started, this was a phenomenal match. So I love the match. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, now I'm not. I didn't want to get in a bunch of arguments with you about that. But
okay.
To be perfectly honest, I did not see where you were coming from with it. This is what I expected.
Honestly, more so because I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan of his ring work, especially in the last 5 years. I mean, this has nothing to do with Roman for the record. Roman Roman reminds me a lot of Hogan, and that's a good thing because Hogan, people always know he's a great worker. Bullshit. Because that guy made Ultimate Warrior look like $1 million in WrestleMania 6 and Andre Giant on his last legs at 3. Okay, Roman can work a match with anybody, no matter what. It was Punk. I'm not the biggest fan of Punk in ring. I'm more of a fan of him on the stick. and he's in his late 40s now. On top of that, so I don't expect much. I was shocked.
Well,
I was just stunned.
I guess because with all right, so I guess because Punk has never been like a great athlete in the ring, so once you've gotten used to watching him a lot, then kind of because because a lot of his stuff, his moves are kind of clunky and all of that,
Yeah.
but he's always been that way. Even like when he was younger, even he was he's always been kind of clunky and kind of two left feet in the ring. Um, even when he was younger. So and that kind of becomes part of his charm, basically as an in ring worker. For people who have watched him for a long time. But he knows how to tell a story in the ring. Um, more than anything. And so yeah, I always thought they were going to have a great match. Now, for me, I put this in top 10. I
All
have to
time.
sit up. Yeah, as far as WrestleMania, yeah, for me, this is a top 10 WrestleMania event.
I'm not ready to go there just yet. I gotta let it cook a couple of years before I really feel. I gotta let it cook a couple of years, or at least a year or two, before I really.
Well, I'd say okay, from a pure ring work standpoint, I definitely have it top 10. Now, we have to, I think you need to wait a few years to see what type of impact this match ultimately has, right? Because, like for example, like WrestleMania 6, right? That was supposed to be the ushering in of a whole new era with the Ultimate Warrior, but that didn't happen. So now, if we're looking at that match now, it doesn't quite hold the same amount of weight that it did in the moment.
But the match itself, though, quality is still great.
Yes, but I mean, for me, if you're asking me greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, then I got to consider like the effect that they ultimately had also.
So you bake in narratives as well as in addition to the match itself.
Yes, because I mean, WrestleMania is all about narratives, and it's all about you know things that shift the very fabric of the world of professional wrestling. That's what WrestleMania is about.
Yeah.
So if you're asking me greatest WrestleMania matches, like what are the five greatest WrestleMania matches, or who are the greatest WrestleMania performers, then I can look at like, okay, who were people, or what are matches that actually shifted things, or that had, or not just great ring work, but matches that had some lasting impact. And so, like, you know, WrestleMania 6 ultimately did not. In the moment, it sure looked like it was going to. Um, but on the other hand, like, look at now, WrestleMania 3 has held up. It did, right? It was, Hogan slamming Andre was like the first.
It bought you for an extra 5 years of programming.
Yeah, it was the first, and that was, I mean, that was like the first WrestleMania moment, Hogan slamming Andre. One that
Correct.
gets just played over and over and over again, and it's a very staple of the event even. And so WrestleMania 3, now from a work rate standpoint, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, it is not a great wrestling match from a work rate standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
but it is in terms of what it means in history and the lore, and the fact that WrestleMania 3 was basically Vince McMahon's vindication that his vision for professional wrestling could work. And so you look at all of that and you look at what it did for Hulk Hogan. It made Hulk Hogan, it skyrocketed to him as far as his standing in history
Yep.
and all that type of stuff. So we have to, as far as so we have to wait and see with this match where, if it has that type of effect.
That's true. No, I agree.
But
I agree.
if you're asking me, but in terms of WrestleMania main events and the ring work, remember, WrestleMania main events, not WrestleMania matches. in terms of WrestleMania main events, looking at the ring work, yeah, I got it top 10. And that's
The main events should be weightier because when you put a match in the last match of the weekend or last match of the show, it's supposed to be narrative based. It's supposed to impact something, whether it's programming for that year or programming potentially for the next 5 years. Hogan Andre impacted programming for the next 5 6 years. It wasn't just it was a big match for the story, obviously, but it also was an impact for bigger picture as well for the business. The same thing with Warrior Hogan should have been that, of course. Match of that nature. So I agree. Now the top 10, look, it's definitely on a better positive end of the better main events of all time. I got to sit down one day and really let it cook one look day. I do think that this match does have watchability to go back to. That's why I judge these things. Will I watch the match ever again? Yeah, I will. I don't know if I watch Cody and Cena on that from last year, but maybe I watched the first everything up until the end. Fucking Travis Scott, but whatever. you know. At the end of the match, I guess at the end of the match, at the end of the show, I guess Obafemi was starting to talk about Roman a little bit, and I guess and then Roman responded about whatever. So are we already starting to tease a SummerSlam Oba Roman matchup?
We'll see. Because we all, I think it seems like we all immediately jumped to that conclusion.
Because it feels like all gas no brakes here now, Obafemi.
Yeah. So now the question is, is it going to be SummerSlam, or are they going to try to wait until WrestleMania next year? Because here's the thing: if you do at SummerSlam, there's a risk that there was a risk you burn it out. You burn them out too fast.
That's a risk now. Like everybody loves him right now, but everybody loved
Yeah.
Cody 2 years ago, and now we are now in the weird Cody space where he's still popular, but Daryl's not going up anymore. And my thing is, wrestling fans are so fucking fickle as is, bro, that they may actually just turn this guy in a year from now.
And so I would say that I don't know. Well, look, that's the $1 million question that they have to figure out whether or not I just because obviously, look, he's going to win the world championship. Yes, we all know that is obvious.
It's a matter of when.
And timing matters because look, it wonders for Cody waiting a year, waiting one more year to do it, right? It did wonders because if they had gone with Cody at 39, he might have burned out earlier.
And not only that, and it makes sense with it soon because there was no story yet at the time.
Yes, exactly.
They added a story. They added an extra story later to the story by having another extra year.
So now, well, the thing is, okay, if you wait until WrestleMania next year, then you need stuff for him to do between now and then, and that's going to be so you got to come up with feuds and stuff for him to do between now and then. And also, I mean, yeah, and I don't think you can go a whole year without him without him not getting a title shot at all. I think, so I think, but yeah, I mean, the problem is if he wins at SummerSlam, you got to have good stuff for him to do immediately after because if he wins at SummerSlam and they don't have anything good for him to do afterwards, then you could have a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with
Now,
you on that.
and now the other thing is though also he could win SummerSlam and then I mean you got the briefcase. You can have so I guess personally if me putting on my Booker hat, I would be wary. I would be a little I would not want to have him win at SummerSlam and then just hold the belt all the way through WrestleMania because if you don't book the right stuff in between,
It hurts
then
him.
yeah, you risk people getting bored with them or people
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
and so if I were booking it, I might have him win at SummerSlam, but then whoever, I would have, I would have somebody cash in the briefcase and take it off of him quickly, or maybe a month or two later.
You're literally, we've been comparing it to Brock Lesnar's 2002 run, and
Yeah,
what you're doing there is very similar. Brock did the same thing, won at SummerSlam against The Rock, lost the title 3 months later in Survivor Series.
Yeah, well, because like it's not, you know, it's not a bad idea to do that, really, because if you do, because like at some point Ova is going to have a long title reign. Now, look, I don't think it's going to be 3 years like Roman, but
No,
at some
no.
point he's going to get a year-long one in there. Problem is if you do it first, if his first one is that, then you have like you have no space to do it again, later.
Yeah.
So so I could see having him win it at SummerSlam and then take it off of him during the fall, have somebody, whoever wins the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Hot shot a little bit. And not only that, it actually helps programming with in
Yeah,
the fall.
and because that's something, I think we've talked about it, how some of the title reigns that they just had people sitting on the belts for way too long.
And for no reason.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think, and for me, I think this year they absolutely need to move those belts around more this year.
Well, they didn't do it in the Cody Randy match. Cody retained.
Yeah.
It was a good match, but the finishes I was confused. Like I'm watching the whole thing. I'm like it's like a swerve on a swerve on a swerve.
Yeah, I mean that was like an Attitude Era finish, man.
Yeah.
Whereas like they do all this weird convoluted stuff, but the whole I guess but the whole point is to get you to tune in for TV because to figure out so they can explain what the hell's going on. It's just man, doing that at WrestleMania. I mean, booking WrestleMania to set up the TV. I mean, and that's always the case to an extent, but that finish to me was entirely to point to television.
It isn't the worst idea, especially if it's done on night one.
Yeah,
because you can forgive that. I'm not saying it's even a bad thing they did here, because okay, so we get the teases. Because by the way, and you know, we're texting during the show, me, you, and DJ, and we all agreed that both guys are working heel in this match.
Yeah. And now, okay, now I do think, as convoluted as that finish was, I do think it worked because the main thing that people were mad about with this match was all the Pat McAfee stuff, and they got him out of there. So, just as convoluted as everything was, they accomplished the mission of getting Pat McAfee out of the picture, which is what people wanted. The people who were upset, that's what people were most upset about, all this Pat McAfee stuff. So now Pat's, they got him out. They did all this. They got him out of the picture.
But it did because of Randy too, not because of Cody, because of Randy.
Yeah, but I think what I think the thing people were mad about Pat being involved, and so he's not involved anymore. So I think people will be willing to overlook just how convoluted all that stuff was because it ultimately gave them the desired result.
Because you got Cody cheating to win, with he's the babyface. Then you get evil Randy. Randy turns on McAfee, but then Randy's also evil Randy, kick him and punt him in the face. Like see that shiner that freaking Cody has.
Look, he looked, man. I said,
is that real?
Oh yeah. Because he had to cancel his appearance. He had to cancel his appearances that weekend because he might have been concussed or something, man. He was so.
I think the priority was there. Where I was standing out watching it too, I think the priority. What I gathered from that takeaway from there was that I think the company's not ready for a Cody heel turn, and I think what they're trying to do also there is by Randy going the extra mile of heel, because obviously we discussed in the show that Randy right now is in the gratitude era of yeah, he's a heel, but we still love you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do some little more extra to get more heat on him. Doing the punching in the face is a definitely heat. Now he's heat man again, and that puts Cody back in sympathy mode, and it buys you more time, at least another 6 months to a year of Cody as a babyface.
Yeah, and then also I think with this, the biggest, as much as look, I crapped on the Pat McAfee stuff as much as anybody else, but
Yeah,
in the bigger picture, I see why they did it because they needed to put something in that match for people to boo
yeah,
because they didn't want people booing Cody, and nobody was going to boo Randy. Like that, like you said, that that ship has sailed. So they needed to put something into the match to get people to boo, and in that way, that would end, and that ultimately helped Cody because people were booing Pat McAfee
yeah.
and wanted him out of there. So and so look, as you know what, I was highly critical of this, just like everybody, but I'm going to now kind of walk some of that back because it served a purpose. It got people, it gave people something to boo.
Yep.
And I think that's ultimately what they're going for. They needed to incorporate something in that match for people to boo. And so I'm going to say now that all of that talk about well, TKO was doing this and TKO was doing that, blah, blah, blah. Now I don't think that's really the case because I mean the tinfoil hat stuff was that well TKO wanted them to put Pat McAfee into the match because they're trying to make because Pat McAfee's agent is Ari Emanuel, and there's a story that they want to make Pat McAfee into this big movie star, and so Ari Emanuel forced them to put Pat McAfee into this so to get him to more exposure, blah 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 blah. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Um, I
Mm.
think I think that's a bunch of stuff that people just kind of cooked up in their tinfoil hat brains. I think
Interesting. Okay.
now to me it just looked like they needed something for people to boo, and Pat is legit kind of done being active in WWE because he's got so many other things he's doing.
Well, another kid in the way too. On top of that,
Yeah, so he is legit
maxed out.
done being active in WWE. So they needed something for people to boo, and this was a way to write him off.
I would love to see him as a heel commentator. Been nice.
Yeah, but and look, and he may be back in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Next year,
There's
whatever.
no doubt. He's still tied. He's always tied up to this thing, and especially with the
Yeah,
ESPN thing. Also, it's always easy to loop back in once things are cleared up. I agree with that.
so I think
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think all that TKO stuff people were talking about was way overblown. I just think they needed something for people to boo, and Pat was leaving anyway, so it was just
Takes heat off of
that,
Cody.
yeah.
You know, yeah.
And I think
I agree. I agree. But so what? All in all, it makes SmackDown must-watch TV this week. There you go.
yeah, because we won't.
What's Cody on Raw last night?
Yeah, so now okay, so that is because he and Punk had a promo together, and so it's pretty yeah, it's pretty clear that's the direction they're heading in with those two
But
guys.
is that probably backlash, or is that do you
Oh
hold
no,
that till
not backlash. No, you don't do that backlash.
money with SummerSlam?
Maybe SummerSlam or maybe Mania next year.
That wow, that long wait. Okay, okay,
Oh
okay.
well, I mean, you got time.
Right, that's true. I mean, you can still,
Oh,
and Punk is that I mean that's been on TV week either too. I mean, he's on the other side too as hell. We also had, to me, probably if not after the main event match of the weekend, probably could have been the Seth Gunther match, but that was highlighted by the return of Braun Breaker. By the way, dude, every time I see Braun Breaker runs out, every time I see Braun Breaker on TV now when he's like doing this whole like spiel, I'm like, bro, you're gonna get a heart attack, bro. Calm down.
boy, he's on 11.
He is fucking intense, bro. But he's great. He's back. He looks good. Bro, he even called up Seth last night.
Yeah.
So,
So
um, so obviously we're gonna Braun and Seth soon. I mean,
now
probably
that
sooner.
might be a backlash.
Yeah, that's be a backlash. I mean, that should be a bigger event though, bigger show. possibly thing. I don't know, but you're gonna burn it at Backlash probably to sell subscriptions for ESPN, of course. But what's your thoughts on Braun and what's your thoughts on Seth and Gunther? First of all, that was a great match.
Oh yeah, I thought it was an excellent match. They could have gone 10 more minutes.
Yeah, they
but
went
I think
17, I think actually. But yeah,
but I think what I thought what they did was really good, and I really would like to see them go again and have a match where they could really do all of their stuff. I think they didn't get to do all that here.
Yeah, because of obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It was almost 18 minutes. It was I mean, it's good. It was good. So Braun's back, of course. What else? The women's title match between Jade and Rhea. I thought Jade looked actually decent in the loss. Now, having said that, I say that really complimenting Rhea because Rhea was the one that was driving that match, obviously. And the one thing I will say is not to say that Rhea was never good enough to do this, but this is the first time I think I've seen Rhea be in a situation where she had to carry a match. Although almost all the women she's faced through her entire career on the main roster have been women like Asuka and Charlotte who are well more qualified to do the job. But now Rhea was in a position now where now I am the woman. I have to carry this. And I was worried about that because we complained about the build being a little weak, convoluted a little bit here. It recovered a little bit late last couple weeks, but we were about the match itself. And the match was not that bad, actually. But I give Rhea a lot of credit. I give credit to Jade for listening because that could have been a disaster.
Yeah, and now I will say that again talking about match times, it was 10 minutes. And it was the exact right amount of time.
Yeah, because of who's in the match.
Yeah, and so shorter matches, a match being shorter isn't always bad. It's just it was bad on night one because so many of those matches they weren't long enough and people didn't get to do everything. But here, again, no, you don't want Jade out there for 20 minutes. She's not 20. That's just not what that's not her deal.
No.
10 minutes, 10 minutes where you just unload and just throw heavy stuff at each other. That's the best thing to do with her. And so they kept the match short. I just, I don't like her losing the match though. Because
here's why I'll agree with you on that. Because I'm still, even though we've been critical of her, I'm still rooting for her. And my problem is, my concern is that, and we said this last week when we did a preview, our concern is that once you pull the belt off of her, she's not that important anymore, really. And does that now hurt her standing now in the main event picture going forward? Because you got a crowded roster of women there who are very talented. Tony Valkyrie to me came out as a winner, even though she lost the match to Liv. She can clearly be in that picture now. And be a mainstay there. She's fantastic in ring. Jade has the look. She's a great character, which helps a lot. It does help. But at the end of the day, you do have to be able to work in ring.
And I think, to me, I think because there are people who still very much question her in-ring ability, I think for me, having her lose here, it looks like a no confidence vote. And so now allow me to explain myself here.
Go ahead.
All right. They gave her the belt. Well, first of all, okay, so she had a title shot at SummerSlam, and she lost to Tiffany Stratton.
Right.
And that looked like it was, maybe going to be the crowning moment for her. And they had her lose. And then that kind of, that was kind of a head scratcher to me back then.
Right.
And then, so when she does win, she wins in November, right before the kind of the dead part of the year.
Mm-hmm.
She does
hot shot it a little bit hot shot, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like December is just the dead part of the year. Right. And so they give she wins the belt right before the slowest, the creatively dead part of the year. They don't give her any real challengers. She didn't even have a rematch with Tiffany, right? I mean that's the most basic of title defenses you can have. It's just a rematch with the person you beat. They didn't even give her that. Um, they didn't give her any other. She defended it one time before WrestleMania on TV. And that was against Jordan Grace, and like she's a very good in ring worker and all that, but she was new to the main roster, and most people who watch SmackDown don't know who the hell she is.
Right.
And that was her only title defense. So, like her first title defense against somebody who matters, and she loses. And not only that, but they gave her
Matters. The biggest woman in the company right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but again, I mean, her still, it's your first title defense against somebody who matters, and they give you a faction on top of that. So she had two people to help her win, and they just started doing the faction. Like if they'd been together for a few months, then yes, you could have somebody overcome them or whatever. But they did all that. Yeah, they waited to do all of that, and then again, first match against somebody who matters, and she loses. Um, I guess to me that's just
It's a sign.
yeah. I mean it looks like one at least, and to me
What's
also like
Mhm.
when you combine that with what happened at SummerSlam, where they had her in position to win, and then they hedged or they or pulled up or whatever. Um, it yeah it just it looks like it just looks like a sign. Just I mean the same way people were concerned about that they were going to maybe have Brock win against Oba and then maybe kind of delay things for Oba a little bit. People were very concerned that they might do that and that it was going to just look like make Oba just look like another guy, right? Um, so for me, I mean, no, look, we'll see how they follow it up. If we'll see if they keep feuding. Um,
the
but
the good thing for her though, we'll say she is very marketable, and because TKO
yeah,
care. Well, the thing is that TKO cares about that because they care
well,
about that
yeah, but if you
kind of
want, I
stuff.
mean, yes, and sure. So I'm not look. They're not gonna release her, right?
No, of course, yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
It's placement at this point. Placement. Where is she standing on the card?
well, the question is, is she gonna be somebody who maybe few times a year gets put in one of these big matches and doesn't win? Is that gonna be what it is?
Yeah. And of course, you'll have the angle like people get. We have to say out loud. We just know what it is. Like, oh well, she ain't get a shot because of X, Y, and Z. That kind of thing. That opens that door.
And
Um,
and look, I also think I think this is all the failure of creative because um everyone seemed to believe that they had all their kind of eggs in the basket of her having a match with Bianca, and then once you know she is now pregnant, so and then once Bianca was not available, they just kind of gave up.
well,
And
Bianca being out another year or so now, it does help Jade here a lot because that picture is still open. It does help.
I mean,
Well,
does
a
it
little
though?
bit. I mean, if Bianca's back active again, that's not going to help Jade whatsoever.
Well, but here's the thing, right? At some point, like you can't put all your eggs in that one match in that basket of we're gonna
It's not. It sure isn't ideal. I agree with you on that.
I just to me okay Bianca's not available, okay, well then you don't throw your hands up and just surrender. I mean you okay, well we got to come up with something else for her to do.
The other option I can see here, if you still want to keep her on top, like near the top of the card. So the other champion is who?
Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan. You can get her away from Rhea, and get on that other side of the show on Raw down
I
the road,
I
and then
mean
you can. I'm not saying you Liv Morgan to say you can get off of Liv Morgan at some point, and then whoever the babyface is there, get Jade the title at some point again, and see. In the meantime, Jade uses this time to get better. I think the big problem with here is the one lacking thing for Jade is just the fact that she's not great in ring. Everything else she's doing fine. She's pretty good on the stick. She's a good character, great look, gorgeous, the whole nine. She's marketable. It's just that she's not good in ring. That's it.
Well, all right. So here's the thing: if you compare her to, people who have previously had that kind of reputation,
Goldberg.
I'd say she's a better ring worker than Goldberg. I would say yes.
Yeah, I'm not against that. No,
she doesn't injure people. Goldberg injured people. Okay,
that's true. Yes,
okay.
That's true. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. But also Goldberg's shtick was very simple. It was spear, it was a couple punches here, the suplex, and then we're good. We go home.
Yeah. So she doesn't injure people. Goldberg injured people.
Yeah.
I think. I think. I would say she's better than the Ultimate Warrior was.
So it's only better human being.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, I'd say just based on what I've seen of her in the ring, she's better than he was. I mean, already. So, but then again, this is another failure of creative. I mean, it used to be, you know what? You figured out how to make it work.
Yeah,
that's what you used to do. I mean,
but back in the day, you can get away being a average in-ring worker and still, as long as the character was good, you can get away with it. There was a lot of people who were not good in the ring, but were great characters, and they got away with it. I think today is not more glaring.
Well, you know what though? I mean, make it work. I mean,
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all.
Because why'd you bring her in? There comes a point where it's like,
you knew this already about that.
What'd you bring her in for? I mean, like it's like like when they signed her to AEW, that's different, right? Because you didn't, because they didn't, you didn't know anything about her or how well she would pick this stuff up or whatever. But now, I mean, you knew, so why do it? And then, and again, I'm not calling her to be unemployed here, but again, this is a failure of management and of creative. You decided that you wanted to bring her in. Okay, well, you watched her wrestle in AEW. You knew what it was. So you bring her in and you make it work, or just you bring her in and you make it work because she's willing to work. Like, so it's not that she's lazy or anything. She is willing to work. So you bring her in and you figure it out. If you're going to bring her in, you figure it out. So to me, I think she has been failed by the creative people, just all the way.
Yeah.
And that's that's a subject I can elaborate on more some other time. I don't want to talk about it forever tonight here.
Right, of course. One thing from last night, because WrestleMania to me is a big deal, but last night was pretty standard Raw, honestly, looking at it. But there was one big thing that happened in the show. Number one, Open Femi, doing his whole thing, the rulers here, that kind of thing. But the other thing stood up to me in the show last night. We're probably going to get Roman Reigns to take a Fatu at Backlash. Check Fatu called him out. Basically, he had him in the ring with the rest of the with the Usos and whatnot. And Fatu, I thought Fatu did a fantastic job just countering. I don't care about just being the high chief kind of thing. I just want to provide for my kids and this and that, and tapping into the personal story of where he came from, whatnot. I love that. Great promo. I mean, I don't think Roman loses the title right now, anyway. But I mean, I think this is the great stepping stone. No. But I think this is the great stepping stone for Fatu, though.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, Roman losing. It's SummerSlam at the earliest. If he's going, lose. But here's the thing: between now and then, I mean, and it's the important thing. Between now and then, you can do good stuff. Right. That's that's one of my big indictments of Triple H as a booker, is that because way too often he'll look at something like this and he'll be like, okay, well, we're going to have him lose at SummerSlam, so we don't have to worry. We're not going to do a whole lot between now and then.
Right.
But here, and then here it looks like, and I think this is probably where, Roman does take some charge over his own creative. That okay, well, if I'm going to be here full time, he said full time. He said you're going to see me all summer.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, well, if I'm going to be here all summer, then I'm not going to sit on this belt.
There you go.
We're going to do some good stuff here. And so Jacob, look, he and Jacob will be great. And then, rumor has it that he and Gunther might be doing something later.
Okay.
So, he's going to get some. If he does lose the belt at SummerSlam, he's going to get some good stuff in between now and then. And it's important to do that because, we shouldn't just be waiting around to see if he loses the belt at SummerSlam, right? There should be something for us to want to see now, right? I mean, there should be good stuff on our television or good stuff on these, PLEs for us between now and SummerSlam. We shouldn't be waiting. You shouldn't be waiting all the way until SummerSlam for something big to happen or something good to happen. And so it's it's good that he'll be here and he'll be doing this stuff.
Right. Should be good. Well, obviously we'll find out in the coming days if because Backlash is around the corner, 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
ain't that far.
And then they got Clash in Italy, I think, just a few weeks after that. So.
Is it late May, early June?
Late May, and then there's a Saturday night's main event in between. So we got a
lot of shit. We got a lot of shit coming up in the next couple months. So it's all gas, no brakes now. They're programming for them. People say, "Oh, Rumble to Mania." True, but even after Mania, they still on the gas and going to SummerSlam. So technically, peak WWE is really in the fall, really in the spring to the summer.
Yeah, and I think again, this is another criticism I have of Triple H as a booker is that period like after SummerSlam through the end of the year, you got to do more there. You can't just kind of you can't tread water from summer.
Well, to their credit, they did that with Drew getting the title, a couple things. They did a couple things last year that was impressive.
Well, but they waited till January to do that. I mean,
true.
I think I think you got to do more stuff after September. From that September to December period, you got to do more stuff.
Right. I'm with you. All right. One more thing out of here. One more thing. And this is actually not even WWE related. So last week on AEW, Darby Allin wins the AEW title.
Yeah.
That was shocking. Obviously, this whole town, the whole nine. A lot of people have feelings about that. Some people like this. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought, look, I'm not watching AEW currently right now, but that's some real hot shot heavy era booking there. And I'm not opposed to it. This is literally Mankind January 1999 against The Rock. And then he'll lose in a month or so, a week or so. Like, no big deal. I don't see a big deal here. I don't mind it. What's wrong with that?
Well, what I found is the people who are most critical of it are the people who don't really watch AEW like that.
So what the fuck they care if they don't watch it?
Because that's because look, Darby is one of those, like, you have to watch the AEW programming regularly and to understand what Darby means to their hardcore fans. And so he was, for them, it is Mick Foley, right?
Right, there we go, perfect.
And, because he's their Mick Foley or Jeff Hardy. He's that for like hardcore AEW fans. That's who Darby is for them. And he's not somebody who's going to hold the world title for a year or whatever. It's going to be short. He's going to lose it he might lose it back to MJF and lose it to somebody else.
He might lose it next 2 weeks. Or that's review.
He's not going to have it long. And this is the kind of thing, like somebody like him. Yeah, you eventually. Yeah, somebody like him, they eventually win it once, and it's a big moment, for their most loyal fans. And
yeah, it's also rewarding a guy who was one of the 4 pillars of the company.
Yeah, and
let them have it. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I did not, personally, I did not see what was so bad about it.
For all the things I criticized for AEW through the years, they got this one right, man. They got this one right. Without question. So I'm okay with that. So congrats to Darby Allin for his AEW Championship win. Maybe I'll start watching a little bit. We'll see. I mean, the calendar's getting a little easier for me to watch sports, watch wrestling now because sports is winding down again for me in a way. The Mets suck anyway, so fuck them. NBA playoffs are there, of course, but things are winding down for me. It's like I may give it a shot. Maybe this Wednesday I'll give it a shot to watch some AEW Dynamite. We'll see. Anyway, anything else to add? Go ahead, Rob.
Well, so we got to see how things unfold here. But of course, like WrestleMania, the week after WrestleMania is always kind of a reset.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. But here's to hoping that next year they get both nights right.
Well, it's in Saudi Arabia, so we'll see.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation. We'll save it for another
Well,
podcast on the road.
You know what? Hopefully, well, you know what? Here's hoping that because that is a prepaid show, that they don't need to run all the damn commercials.
That's true. That's a great point, bro. And I guarantee
because they've already been paid for the show, maybe they won't need to run all the damn commercials.
And you know what? That won't matter because they'll still get money. They'll still find a way to make a fucking buck because it's just TK. I have no faith in them whatsoever. But anyway, Rob, anything you want to plug before we get out of here? What's going on, Rob Genius Podcast, Mindless Wrestling? What's going on?
Well, as always, every week, Mindless Wrestling Podcast, me, DJ, and Jason. And I'm in the process of still editing the basketball thing I did with Jason and Ray.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What's going on with that, bro?
I'm still... Well, all this WrestleMania stuff, man. That's what I shouldn't have promised to have it so as early as I said I would, because now I got time now to sit down and
we can breathe a little bit now. Yeah. Of course, I got you, man. Anyway, of course, I'm on X at E7. First Call Anywhere, Partnership Podcast. Until the next episode, we talk to you guys soon, and we're now finally in the WrestleMania rearview mirror now, so things should give it a breathe a little bit, I guess, a little bit. So, till next episode, later.